I said fucking birthday.
Alright guys, so today we're going to enjoy the soothing experience of eating luxury wafers. Let's do it. No. No.
Michelle's the bird side.
Now, for those of you thirsty for more knowledge, comes this. What if you stop drinking water for a day? You know, your body is up to 70% water. This figure changes with age. When you were a fetus, hey, remember that? You consisted of 95% of water for the first months of existence. At birth, this amount became lower, 77%. All in a 150-pound person, there are 11 gallons of water, and 2/3 of this water is in your cells. So why is water so important for a human body? Well, it transports useful substances and nutrients to different organs of your body. It provides energy, it strengthens muscles and lubricates joints. It even lubricates your eyes. A normal cardiovascular function is impossible when you don't have enough water in your body. What's more, without sufficient amount of water, your body wouldn't be able to regulate its temperature, and you'd start to overheat. An average person drinks about 264 gallons of water a year. People take this liquid for granted and probably never think what would happen if they stopped drinking it. Well, let's see what dire consequences this action would have. To begin with, water includes other liquids such as soda, juices, tea, and plain old soup. However, these options are perceived by your body mostly like food. But if you can't get pure water to hydrate yourself, these drinks will suffice. If the level of water in your body drops by 1%, your survival instinct will kick in and you will start to feel thirsty. So, what will happen to your body if you stop drinking water at all? Well, first of all, your urine will become dark. When your body feels the lack of water, the kidneys send more of this liquid to the blood. And as the blood keeps all of the water, the urine turns dark yellow. This way, your body conserves its fluids. After a day or so without liquid, you will stop peeing at all. What is more, you'll also have trouble swallowing due to lack of water in your body. Your brain will start to shrink. Oh, that's why. At first, this will be a temporary phenomenon, but if you don't recover your water balance, the brain may suffer from permanent damage. Another negative effect of the lack of water will be that your brain will have to work much harder to fulfill even the simplest tasks. Your energy level will drop significantly. Oh, you will start to lose focus easily. And, what? I forget. Oh, you will become much more irritable. As water is supposed to lubricate your joints and the areas between your bones, its lack will make your whole body hurt as your bones will grind against each other. The condition of your skin will get much worse. Wrinkles and fine lines will become more prominent. The skin itself will feel dry and will start to peel away. Lovely. You'll start to suffer from headaches as your brain will have to make a double effort to do anything. Along with the headaches, you'll have pain in your eyes. There won't be enough water to lubricate them, so that they will become exceedingly dry. You will start to gain water weight. Now this may sound a bit illogical, but that's the way your body will try to conserve all the available water to prevent you from severe dehydration. As a result, you'll feel and look bloated. You will have great problems with your bathroom schedule. As soon as your body realizes that water is missing, it will start to absorb more, which will make it next to impossible to get rid of waste. Later symptoms will be muscle spasms and elevated body temperature. The blood won't get to the skin, and you may turn grayish blue. You may faint or even have a stroke. After a period of 3 to 5 days, depending on such factors as your age, weight, and health condition, the organs of your body will start to shut down. This may lead to death after the brain starts functioning. Ooh, Sounds terrifying, doesn't it? That's why it's extremely important to notice the signs of dehydration on time and do everything to avoid such a condition. So, pay attention to your water balance if your mouth becomes dry and it's hard to swallow. The color of your urine turns darker than usual. You gain weight despite your regular visits to the gym, meaning your metabolic rate has low.
Angel?
Yeah, you need Batman to work for that, and Batman doesn't work for that. And what are you doing with scissors, huh? What did you cut? I didn't know. I didn't cut nothing. Why are you having scissors near this thing? I didn't have them, and I didn't cut them.
Where you have them?
Yeah, don't say that you didn't have them when you have them in your hand. I said I didn't have them and cut them. Okay, fine. Tell me where they were, huh? You put them away, huh? What? Run.
$1? Damn.
Lowered. You feel feverish. Your heart rate is elevated. You feel dizzy and suffer from repetitive headaches. Your skin loses its elasticity and turns red. You feel constantly tired. You can't concentrate. If you're a guy, you may have erectile dysfunctions. You don't cry anymore, even if you're a guy with erectile dysfunctions. Not because you don't want to, but because you just can't. Each of these symptoms is worrying enough, but if you notice several of them, it's time to ring the alarm bell. You might be suffering from dehydration. You should immediately increase your water intake. However, you should do this correctly. People need a different amount of water according to their age, gender, weight, and lifestyle. For example, the Institute of Medicine advises women from 19 to 50 to drink 90 ounces of water a day, while men from 19 to 50 should consume daily not less than 125 ounces of water. Spread the amount of water necessary for you throughout the day. For example, drink 1 glass of water in the morning as soon as you get up. This will jumpstart your metabolism and hydrate you after the night when you didn't drink any liquid. Take a water bottle with you wherever you go. If you stay in the office during the day, put water on the table and take a sip now and then. If your job is connected with moving around, remember to put your water bottle in your backpack. You can play with different types of water bottles. For example, the ones with measurement marks on the side, with a special insulation to keep it cool, with a built-in filter, or a cylinder inside to keep a piece of fruit. If you go to the gym, drink more. After a set of moderate exercises, you need to have additional 1 to 2 cups of water. Use an app that tracks water intake. Such application can be programmed to remind you to drink more water. Some of them can even show the location of a free water fountain nearest you. Follow the rule of 8 by 8. This means that you need to drink 8 ounces of water 8 times a day. If water is unavailable, try to find other sources of hydration. You can drink juice, tea, coffee, or eat fruit instead. It goes without saying that water is the best liquid to hydrate you, but if you have no other choice, use anything you can pour into your cup to achieve your daily liquid intake norm. At the same time, try not to drink more than 4 cups of tea or coffee a day. Irritability, headaches, and insomnia will most likely be side effects of excessive consumption of these drinks. It may seem surprising, but more than 20% of your daily intake of water comes from food. Try to eat more celery, watermelon, and cucumbers to support your water balance. Another way to introduce more liquid to your diet is broths and soups. And finally, be sure of what you're drinking. There's this cruel little poem about being sure you know what liquid is water and what isn't. Johnny was a chemist's son, but Johnny is no more. For what he thought was H2O was H2SO4. So, do you know what that compound is? Tell us in the comments below, along with how much water do you drink a day? Share this video with those of your friends who consider water too plain.
First aid methods all of us do wrong. Knowing basic first aid methods is very important, but it's crucial to perform them correctly. Did you know that hydrogen peroxide and iodine could be dangerous for you? Here are several of the most widely spread mistakes people make when performing first aid. Putting a spoon into the mouth of a person having a seizure. Pulling his or her tongue can also be dangerous. Why? When in a fit, a person can swallow or choke on an object placed in their mouth to protect the tongue. A person may start shaking uncontrollably and even go purple, but seizures are self-limiting and the body is incapable of doing much harm to itself. What should you do? Just call a doctor and make sure the person is safe from external harm and is breathing comfortably. It's impossible to swallow your tongue, and biting it isn't dangerous. After the seizure ends, lay the person on their side. Cardiac compressions can lead to lung damage. Cardiac compressions can easily result in broken ribs, which may severely damage the lungs and heart. You should only do cardiac compressions if you're sure the person has no pulse, isn't breathing, and there's no doctor around. While one person is calling an ambulance, another does heart compressions with the rhythm of 100 per minute, to the beat of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. For babies, you should do it with your fingers and in another rhythm. The mouth-to-mouth resuscitation should be performed when the heart is going. Another option is to do 30 compressions and 2 breaths and then repeat. Paracetamol may lead to liver issues. Paracetamol, or acetaminophen, relieves pain and inflammation, and it is a part of many modern drugs. Keep in mind that its overdose may cause liver and kidney failure. What should you do? Just measure the dose carefully. The maximum single dose for adults is 1 gram, or 4 grams per day. Acetaminophen is present in many drugs, especially anti-flu ones, so combining medications can lead to an overdose and its consequences. Throwing back your head or lie on your back with a nosebleed. If you do this, the blood pressure in your head rises. You can't know how bad the bleeding episode is, so the blood can get into your lungs or cause vomiting. To do it right, hold your head upright to reduce pressure. Apply a cold pack and then close either nostril with your fingers for 15 minutes. Do the same for the other while breathing with your mouth. If the bleeding doesn't stop, repeat. If it persists even then, or if an injury causes it, call an ambulance. Pulling a road accident victim from the car. Most deaths in road accidents occur because of neck and spine injuries. The slightest move in an attempt to help a victim may kill them or render them paralyzed. If a person is injured with a risk of head, neck, or spine trauma, for example, they don't feel their limbs, but there's no blood, call an ambulance. Also, watch the victim's breathing until the doctors arrive. Taking vomit-inducing drugs in case of severe poisoning. Emetic drugs can cause an esophageal burn and make way for poisoned vomit into the lungs. What should you do? In a suspected poisoning, call an ambulance, describe the symptoms and a probable source of poisoning, and write down the prescribed actions. Don't try to assess the danger yourself or seek advice on the internet. Drug overdoses or alcohol intoxication may be as hazardous as a glass of gasoline drunk in a gulp. Without qualified help, the victim may die within an hour. Applying a tourniquet to stop bleeding. An incorrectly applied tourniquet may result in excess limb pressure and can lead to amputation. It doesn't stop the bleeding but prevents blood circulation, which leads to necrosis. To do it right, apply a large amount of sterile gauze or clean cloth to the wound and press tightly. This should be enough until the ambulance arrives. The only exception is a serious bleeding where the risk of death is higher than that of losing a limb. Curing wounds with hydrogen peroxide and iodine can be dangerous. Peroxide destroys connective tissue cells, preventing the wound from healing. Iodine and alcohol burn healthy cells and can induce pain, shock, and burns if applied to a wound. To do it right, wash the wound with clear drinking water or boiled water, and then apply a healing ointment with an antibiotic. A Band-Aid or bandage should not be applied unless necessary. Otherwise, the wound will get wet and take longer to heal. If you're bitten by a snake or a venomous insect, don't suck out the venom. If you're bitten by a snake or a venomous insect, don't suck out the venom. The venom mixes with your saliva and makes itself a new target of your mucous membrane. This will accelerate the poisoning and can result in lung edema and heart failure. So, if you're bitten in a limb, lie down so the damaged area is below the heart. Call an ambulance, describe what bit you, and drink a lot. Also, keep in mind that you should never take a sick or injured person to the nearest hospital. Instead, call an ambulance, describe the situation, and listen to the operator who'll tell you where to take the victim. Not every hospital has the necessary medications, specialists, or equipment, and transportation may prove too dangerous. Here's the bonus: how to correctly make an injection. At the start, disinfect your hands and the area where the injection will be administered. When making an injection into the buttocks, divide the muscle into 4 parts in your head. Quickly press the needle 3/4 of the way into the upper right part to avoid touching the sciatic nerve. Once the procedure is finished, place some cotton wool swabbed in alcohol spirit over the area of the injection. Never make the injection into a tensed muscle, penetrating too far or too little into the skin. Did you learn anything new and enjoy watching the video?
Excuse me. Use Anchor instead.
Anyone should be able to identify. Summer means hot weather, more time spent outside, and yikes, bug bites. With so many different insects that transmit all kinds of nasty diseases through their bites and stings, it's really important to be able to identify your attacker. Recognizing what marks certain bugs leave can be hard, but don't worry, this guide will make you an insect expert in no time. Before we get down to our buggy business, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss any of our videos. 10. Hornet. Running into a hornet nest and being stung by a swarm of these beasts haunts many people's nightmares, and it's a perfectly logical fear to have. When hornets sense danger, they get super aggressive and sting harder than bees. The stung area becomes red and severely swollen. Sometimes blisters can even appear. Their stings are extremely painful, much worse than wasp stings. Since the insect itself is bigger in size, a hornet's venom is more toxic, containing histamine and acetylcholine. If the sting victim feels cold in their limbs, their ears and lips go blue, or they start having breathing problems, they must see a doctor. 9. Bee. In case you or someone nearby has been stung by a bee, you need to act fast. Remove the stinger immediately if it's broken off in your skin. The affected area gets red and swollen from the get-go. The victim also feels burning, a sharp pain, and a severe itch shortly afterwards. If you're not allergic to bees, this is where your troubles end. But if a person is allergic to bee venom, they might have troubles breathing, which is a serious concern. The poor victim may also experience vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, dizziness, and a drop in blood pressure. About 50 people die in the U.S. each year as a result of severe anaphylactic reactions to the bee stings. The best thing you can do to prevent that from happening is to call emergency medical services ASAP. 8. Wasp. The symptoms of a wasp sting are a lot like those of a bee attack. The stung area becomes red and swollen. The victim feels pain and burning, and terrible itching ensues a bit later. You might even be left with a bruise. What's different is that a wasp can sting multiple times, whereas a bee can sting only once. Wash the affected area with soap and water to get the venom out, and keep it clean and dry to stop infection from spreading. A cold pack should help you reduce the swelling and pain. Just like with a bee sting, it's really important to know if you are allergic to wasps, since there's the risk of having anaphylactic shock. 7. Ant. Most ants don't present any real threat to humans, but the red fire ant is a major exception. This guy not only bites, he does it to keep a grip on you in order to pierce your skin with his stinger, making it one of the few ant species that actually stings. Blisters appear on the stung spots that later turn into scars. Again, if you're allergic to this ant's toxic venom, anaphylactic shock is an alarming possibility. A thatching ant, on the other hand, bites and then sprays the area with its venom. It's pretty painful, but nothing like a fire ant attack. An itchy pink spot appears around the bite, sort of resembling a mosquito bite. To reduce the pain, you can put lemon juice on the affected area. Another home remedy that prevents the infection from spreading is vinegar mixed with water. Ice will help bring down the swelling.
No.
8. Mosquito. Warm summer nights, camping by the fire, or sleeping with your windows wide open all sound pretty romantic. That is, until you hear that annoying little whining in your ear. Mosquito bites look like swollen red spots about the size of a dime, and they usually appear on open areas of the body. Mosquitoes bite where the skin is really thin because it's easier to get to the blood vessels. When they bite, they inject their saliva into the wound. The saliva contains anticoagulants that make the blood thinner and cause the skin to become red, itchy, and swollen. And here's a fun fact. Only female mosquitoes bite. They need the protein in your blood to develop eggs. There's a popular myth that mosquitoes die after they bite you. But in reality, they're perfectly capable of feasting on your blood more than once. So don't feel too sorry for them, in case you ever did. 5. Tick. Probably Usually the worst souvenir you can bring home from an outdoor picnic or a hike is a tick. If it's not you, then it's your pet. And yes, ticks can easily relocate between the two of you. Blood rises towards the upper levels of the skin around a tick bite, making the area appear reddish. The creepiest thing is that these little vampires latch on and swell up over time as they drink your blood. What's even worse, ticks can infect people with an array of potentially fatal illnesses, the most well-known of which is Lyme disease. If you remove the insect from your body, but the red spot doesn't go away and continues to grow, see a doctor as soon as possible. 4. Flea. Flea bites can easily be mistaken for allergies or mosquito bites because the bitten spots also look red and swollen. But unlike mosquitoes, these insect bites are very painful, and the itch is even worse. Fleas usually attack the legs and prey solely on sleeping people. One insect can bite several times, so the red spots they inflict are usually from half to 1 inch apart. Fleas transmit tons of serious infections that are dangerous for you and your pets, including tapeworms and parasitic dermatitis. 3. Horsefly.
Mom's birthday first.
You know these beasts. They are like flies on steroids. These giants prefer hot and humid climates, which means they love to ruin your summer. They're mostly after dark moving objects, so wearing a black t-shirt on a hike makes you a walking target. Unlike the common housefly, horseflies bite painfully and drink human blood. At first, a small red spot appears no diseases like tularemia and anthrax, but most of the time they attack livestock rather than people. But if one does bite you, use some antiseptic spray to keep the wound clean. If you feel an allergic reaction coming on, with a rash, pain, or troubles breathing, seeing a doctor is a must. 2. Lice. If you notice small red dots that look like a rash on your scalp, the back of your neck, and behind your ears, that means you've got a case of head lice. If you see these spots in your groin area, that would be pubic lice. As for anywhere else, like on your back, belly, arms, or legs, these are bites from body lice. The spots are a few inches away from each other, and the skin looks like it was pierced. Lice transmit very serious diseases like relapsing fever and typhoid. In this case, prevention is definitely better than cure, so keep yourself and your house clean and wash your clothes regularly to keep lice away. 1. Bed bug. At first sight, bed bug bites look like flea or mosquito bites or some kind of allergic rash. The skin becomes red, swollen, and starts to itch. However, there is a way to recognize a bed bug's masterpiece. The bites are very close to each other and look like little dotted roads on the skin. Bedbug bites are more painful than those from mosquitoes, and they're mostly noticed in the morning since these bugs hunt at night. So sleep tight and don't let the bedbugs bite. And if they do, call an exterminator. Do you know of any tips on how to recognize, treat, and prevent insect bites altogether? Tell us in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a like and click subscribe to stay. Mistakes that could cost you your life. When we meet some animals on a picnic or in the woods, we either get scared or become happy as children. But we usually don't know what to do in each case. Here's some tips on what to do with wild animals and how to behave so as to not harm them or yourself. 10. Meeting a moose in the woods. A moose is one of the largest animals you might meet in the woods. They are quite timid and run away first. But during the fall, they can be dangerous as this is the period of coupling. During this time, breeding males are agitated and competitive. In Siberia, they even say a moose is scarier than a bear. You shouldn't approach moose calves. Make any abrupt movements. You should go away if you hear a moose roaring. Even that is enough to get scared. Slowly leave a moose's pathway. It can't move back. Hide behind a tree. They have very bad eyesight. Turn on loud music because they are afraid of loud noises. If a moose runs after you, scale a tree. These signs will tell you that a moose is about to attack. It stops eating and stares at you. Its ears lie down flat against its head while the hair on its neck, hump, and hip raises. It walks toward you, lowering its head. It urinates. It whips its head back, just like horses do. 9. Meeting a moose or a boar on the road while driving. You shouldn't press the car horn or blink the lights because the animal can attack you. Try to drive around the moose. You should be on the watch when traveling during the fall. Slowly stop if the animal appears on the road. In case of urgency, try to drive slowly around the animal. If you hit the animal with your car, don't approach the animal, even if it seems dead. It could still harm you. Don't try to take it away with you. This can cause criminal liability. The right actions are designed by the legislation of your country. It's most likely that you have to call the traffic police. 8. Meeting a hedgehog. You shouldn't give it any milk. Yes, you heard that correctly. Contrary to stereotypes, hedgehogs have milk indigestion, so probably don't try ice cream either. Touch a hedgehog barehanded as you might catch a whole variety of infections. Take a hedgehog home if it's not wounded. It's not a pet, it's a wild animal. You should call the Animal Rescue Service if the hedgehog isn't okay. In this case, you may take the animal with you. 7. If you're attacked by an angry boar. Actually, this does not often happen as an average boar will run away upon first seeing you. However, tuskers attack. You shouldn't run away. The animal will catch up with you. Be sure of your weapon. Boars have very thick skin, and a weapon attack will only make them angrier. You should hide behind a tree. This way, the animal will lose sight of you. Climb up a tree. Make loud noises. 6. If there's a bat in your apartment, you shouldn't panic. Don't be superstitious. The animal is more likely to be lost. It's not here to drink your blood. There are 2 types of bats, fruit eaters and insect eaters, and neither of them feast on humans. Except, of course, for Dracula's. Touch it barehanded. Throw a sleeping bat out of the window. You should take away all your pets. Put on some thick gloves. Wait until the animal is on a surface and then carefully take it. You can also cover it with a box and shove something under it. If the bat is awake, go outside the house and let it fly out. If the bat is asleep, wait until it wakes up. For this time, just cover it with a box with air holes. 5. If a coyote, a fox, or a jackal noticed you, you shouldn't run away. The animal might trace you. Approach the animal and try to play with it. You should slowly stand back, shout. Stretch out your arms or clothes to give the impression that you have an increased size. Throw a stone in the direction of the animal, not exactly at it, or give the impression that you are going to throw it. 4. If a nestling has fallen out of its nest. In 99% of cases, you should leave a nestling as it is and not try to save it. The bird is just trying to learn how to fly, and its parents are usually somewhere nearby. You should save a nestling if it has visible damage, it's a swift or pigeon nestling, it's blind and featherless. You might also call the Animal Rescue Service because it's really difficult to raise a nestling yourself. 3. If a dolphin is near you while you are swimming in the sea. People think that these animals are truly kind, letting you ride their backs or saving you from drowning. This belief came from Greco-Roman times when dolphins were believed to have close connections to the gods. For example, a favorite messenger of Poseidon was Delphinus. That's why the god placed the image of a dolphin in the stars. In ancient Greece, a death penalty was awaiting anybody who killed a dolphin. All in all, people have always believed that dolphins have special powers that can cure humans. Well, you shouldn't humanize dolphins. Even when being friendly, they can still harm you. They bite and can also painfully push you. You shouldn't flounce near a dolphin. Firmly believe that a dolphin can do absolutely no harm to you. You should swim away from the dolphins. Interact with these animals only if you have an opportunity to leave the water at any moment. 2. If a dolphin has been washed ashore, you shouldn't carry it back to the sea because it will surely die. If the animal is on the shore, it's likely to be sick or injured. Leave the animal alone because it will be attacked by gulls or dogs. You should speak to rescuers or the Coast Guard and wait for help near the dolphin. Protect the animal from the sun. It will become hot very quickly, even in winter. Cover it with a wet towel or algae. Water the animal from time to time. Watch out, water can get into the breathing hole. Avoid it. 1. Meeting a shark in the open sea. Actually, situations where you meet a shark that is going to attack you do not happen very often. But such an acquaintance is still dangerous. You shouldn't panic. Sharks feel your fear and get even angrier due to the prey drive. Try to swim away. The shark is on its territory, and it moves very quickly. It's going to catch you. You should stay still. Try to leave the pathway of the animal by slowly swimming away. It will lose its interest in you. Defend yourself. If a shark attacks, punch it on the nose with all your might and try to leave the water. The shark is going to be led astray for a while. If the animal is going to bite you, try to injure its eyes or gills. These are the weakest parts of a shark's body. Either way, defend yourself and try to leave the water quickly by all means. One more thing. Attention. Any warm-blooded animal might be a carrier of rabies. This is a lethal disease that can't be cured. The disease is transmitted through a bite or spit. However sweet an animal seems, you better not touch it. Don't let your pets play with wild animals. If you see an injured animal, the animal comments below. Share. Whoa! If you meet this on the beach. Cry for help as loud as possible. There are so many different species living in the ocean. Some of them that can cause anaphylactic shock, convulsions, and finally death. You can get poisoned if you step on it when you are in the sea or the ocean. You have to be super careful and watch your step. Many people who step on flower urchin die, not because of the toxin itself, but because they got disoriented by pain and drowned. Number 8, cone snail. These guys have been very popular among collectors, but we recommend you not to fall for the pretty appearance. Scientists say that just one drop of the cone snail's poison is enough to kill 20 people. Just one drop, almost as bad as my roommate's cooking. The respiratory system shuts down due to paralysis, which causes death. What's both curious and terrible is that this snail is sometimes called the cigarette snail. The thing is, after you get stung, you only have enough time to smoke one cigarette. On the bright side, you really will quit smoking. Number 7, Portuguese man of war. This animal looks truly beautiful, and many people mistake it for a jellyfish. That's why a different name for this animal is false jellyfish. Get it? You can find it mostly in tropical and subtropical regions of the Pacific and Indian Ocean. But sometimes the currents move man of war to places where it doesn't usually live. The most mind-blowing fact about man of war is that technically we should call it men of war and not refer to it as it, but they. And here's why. It's an animal that is made up of a colony of organisms cooperating together. Man-of-war has tentacles that can be 30 feet long, which it uses to paralyze and kill fish and other small creatures. Fortunately for humans, a man-of-war is not deadly, but extremely painful. And the worst parts about its venom is that it can stay on beaches for days after the animal itself is gone. So, if you are on a beach, look for warning signs. If you are stung by a man-of-war, don't even think about peeing on the sting. This will only make things worse, and you'll look very silly. Instead, use cold to reduce the swelling and kill the pain. Number 6, sea snakes. Yeah, say that 5 times real fast. Yep, snakes in plural, because we mean a whole variety of species. Sea snakes are in fact much more venomous than their land-living friends. Why are they so venomous? Well, as it turns out, they have to be like that because they hunt fish. So what they need to do is immobilize their prey very quickly, not to let it escape. The good news is that in most cases, if you get bitten by a sea snake, there is an antivenom that you can take to survive. However, there is one snake that you definitely don't want to meet, the beaked snake. One drop of its venom can end lives of 3 men. And as you have probably guessed, it also causes your respiratory system to stop working. The only upside here is that the beaked snake is usually found in deep waters, so seeing it on the beach is very unlikely. Number 5, lionfish. The fish that cannot tell the truth. Yes, they're always lying. Sorry. Many people call the lionfish the most beautiful sea creature in the world. You can find them in the Caribbean and Eastern Atlantic. Lionfishes are not deadly. They do have a venom, but it's not lethal. However, the pain you will experience if you get stung is so severe that people say you might wish you were dead. One fisherman whose foot was stung says he wanted it to be amputated. That's how bad the pain was. On the bright side, lionfishes are not offensive. If you don't do anything that it might perceive as dangerous, it probably won't attack you. Probably. Number 4, Chironex. This jellyfish doesn't have any teeth, but it's dangerous as hell. If a person gets stung, they will have excruciating pain, red inflammation in the stung area, and heart dysfunction. The victim needs to be taken to the nearest hospital as soon as he or she is pulled out of the water. Otherwise, death is inevitable. To be safe, don't touch any jellyfish at all. What if it's a Chironex? Another thing you should always do is watch out for warning signs on all beaches where you go swimming. Number 3, surgeonfish. No, this is not the one you call if you got stung by a Chironex. This one got its name for a reason. These fish have razor-sharp, scalpel-like things on their tails. They can easily cut off a human hand if a person comes close to it. Now, when you know why they have such a name, please give us a thumbs up if you still have a thumb, if you find this video interesting. Surgeonfish are easily spooked, so you should be extra careful if you see one of them. Don't make any unexpected fast moves. The good news is, surgeonfish are not aggressive, unless of course you provoke them, by not paying your medical bill or something. Number 2, Indonesian needlefish. These fish live in tropical and subtropical waters of the oceans. They, as the name suggests, have a very sharp needle-like beak, and they are especially dangerous when they hurl themselves out of the water. So, their most often victims are fishermen who get stabbed by them and have no time to get to the shore quickly to get urgent medical treatment. It doesn't happen very often. Hey, just think about it. What are the chances? But it still does. And number 1, triggerfish. This fish is mostly friendly, but only until you are a threat to its nest. The most dangerous are females, of course. If you approach its nest, even accidentally,